Hello, folks, and welcome back to the Culture Books podcast. My name is John. I'm joined by
Sheridan.
And it is the, what's the date, Sheridan?
24th of October.
2023. Now, we note at the time of recording that the bombardment of the captive civilian population of Gaza is ongoing, and Banks would have been strongly on the side of the Gazans in this conflict. I've donated some money to Médecins Sans Frontières, and I would certainly encourage people to donate where their heart considers best served. On that note, shall we move on?
I just wasn't expecting to get so political there.
They are very political books, Sheridan. Okay, so how do we do this, Sheridan? What happens now?
So you have 30 seconds to recap what the story is so far.
Count me in.
3, 2, 1.
So the Culture are a bunch of super intelligent robots in space, or minds in space, artificial intelligence. They keep trillions of pet humans, but pretty much pets. They're not making the big decisions. And some of them have got a job to do bringing peace to a system called Vornuts. And they're trying to get the team together to go and do that while discovering the dark past of Sheridan and Zakalwe. 2 seconds to go.
Good job.
Yeah, missed some stuff out. Wasn't perfect. Anyway, what happens now, Sheridan?
I have 30 seconds, which is going to be quite easy, I think, to recap this very short chapter.
Okay, and your time starts in 3, 2, 1.
Diziet has located Zakalwe, who's on an island that he owns. He's looking pretty relaxed, and he's been making the aristocrats younger, and she doesn't have to do much to convince him to go and do a job for them, which involves payment of 10% increase on his last wage and presumably a meet-up with his long-lost lover, whose name is escaping me. Although we don't know they're lovers, but there's something going on there. And that's it. Was that good?
1,000 nerds, not 1,000, about 100 nerds started screaming about calling Liv Uetta Zakalwe's lover.
Yeah, but, I've made an assumption there.
But we'll, no spoilers. We'll see how that plays out. That relationship remains unclear. That was, okay, pretty good. We're going to get through the individuals of this chapter, but I felt that Zakalwe is sort of being faced with the overwhelming complexity of trying to socially engineer an entire planet, and is now very bored of the project and being offered a trip somewhere else. And they literally ask, "Oh, so is the Culture going to come in?" Like, well, they're going to have to. And it's like, well, mission accomplished.
I like how he says that. I thought interfering might be a lot easier than you lot make it look. But apparently it's not. It's quite complicated.
Everything's very complicated. It did remind me a little bit of, a few weeks ago there was talk that Trump might want to be Speaker of the US Congress. And just everyone who knows anything about it is like, there is no way Donald Trump wants to deal with that amount of work. He hasn't thought this through at all. And Zakalwe has maybe some Trump-like characteristics.
That's a bit controversial.
Some. Not a lot. But, there's certainly a happy-go-lucky vibe about him. That's an interesting thing to say. Okay, let's keep going. What did you think of Zakalwe's island?
Sounds pretty good. Nice swimming holes.
I feel like it's in the Bahamas. I got a real Bahamas vibe to it.
They clearly don't have drones.
Why not?
Well, it says that whenever humans walk past, Scafin Emtiscore lifts up above the tree line.
Oh, right.
Which I took to mean...
Just they didn't see him.
Yeah.
Okay.
I might be wrong about that.
It's a good little detail. I did like the description of Zakalwe. Hair a bit darker than she remembered, swept away from his broad tanned forehead and tied in a ponytail behind. Fit looking as ever. No older looking, of course, because it stabilised his age as part of the payment for the last job.
But his eyes look older.
Yeah, but she's not sure about that. And, they're all sort of lounging around in hammocks, deciding if they want to eat or not. That all sounds quite pleasant. And then they come up to, you've got to make a decision, dude. I like this description. There's a teraton of GSV with 28 million people on board charging in this direction. If it's to wait here, it has to slow down first. So it needs to know for sure. You really are coming this afternoon? So, that was a really good sense of just how big a deal this special edition GSV coming through is.
Yes.
Yeah. And then what did you think about the discussion of the factions on Vorenhoots?
Oh, I didn't think too much about it.
Okay, well, because she's trying to explain the mission, why they need him.
Yes.
Okay, and then she says, Vorenhoots is coalescing into two groups. The people gaining...
Oh, yes, sorry, the humanists, yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm trying to read
Sorry.
this. The people gaining the upper hand at the moment want to pursue aggressive terraforming policies. That's sort of, he burped, redecorating a planet, right? You just get the sense he's knocking back a drink and, Smart closing her eyes briefly. Yes, sort of, whatever you choose to call it. It's ecologically insensitive, to put it mildly. These people, they call themselves the humanists, want a sliding scale of sentient rights, which will have the effect of letting them take over whatever intelligently inhabitant worlds their military are able to. This is a bit reminiscent of current events, isn't it? Although, as the
It's sort of human nature, though, isn't it?
as the beneficiaries of colonial settlement ourselves, let's not go pointing fingers too far abroad on that one. This is something that he did talk about all the way back in Consider Phlebas, that from the point of view of the culture, doing things to a planet is A, wasteful, and B, terrible for the environment, and the planet should be just left alone, and that intelligent species get off the planets and do things in space. Even if it's building orbitals that look a lot like planets, but yeah. Anyway, I kind of like that. And then Scaffin getting very sniffy. They also refuse to acknowledge machine sentience fully. They exploit proto-conscious computers and claim only human subjective experience has any intrinsic value. Carbon fascists.
Have we heard the term carbon fascist before?
No, but it does sound like something remember when Horsa murdered the little shuttle's mind? That seemed to be a sort of debate they would have had. And then, Zakalwe really getting up Scaffin's nose, saying, and you want old Baytry to get into harness with these humanist guys, right? I mean, they're called humanists. They must be the good guys.
What do you think about the fact that she keeps calling him by his first name, Sharadnine?
It is his first name?
I know, but no, she calls him Zakalwe at all other times.
It feels like it's a diminutive to her. Like it's a way of showing intimacy and affection.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's an important distinction. Then they have a little arguing. I did like how he's like, okay, so you need me to do this. Fine. Sounds almost easy. No soldiering. So he's had enough of fighting the wars. Doesn't want to march around the backcountry with a big pack on carrying a gun anymore.
He's a bit too... You've spoken about this before, that he's what's the expression? Like he can just do everything.
Oh, the Gary Stew.
Yeah, it's a little bit unrealistic.
I think it has sound narrative reasons that we'll get to. But,
Okay.
I mean, as it is, he's not like, well, I'll go be a soldier. He's like, no, I don't want to do that. I've had enough of that. I mean, that's actually a sign of weakness and aging and wisdom and all those things. And then Scaffin, do I hear the sound of a barrel bottom being scrapped? And so they send the signal to the ship. They're coming. And then they have a conversation about, what have you done here? Why are you're happy to go away for 4 years? And it's like, I like long voyages. He's literally just, we knew from the previous chapters, he's just had a fight with his girlfriend saying, I'm out of here. See you later. Which seems a bit mean. He could have been like, can my girlfriend come too? But no, he's like, I'm just out of here. I've had enough of this. Yes. This little bit, Smar looked into the man's face for a while. He looked unworried, full of life. Pep and vim were the words that came to mind.
Yeah, what's a vim mean?
Vim and vigour. It's just means he's almost like Pep.
Well, I just want to know what the difference from Pep is.
I think it's just using more language to apply more connotation. You often use synonyms jointly to provide emphasis.
I don't have my dictionary on my Kindle because I got a new phone, so I can't tell you. But it is Wikipedia is telling me it's a cleaning product.
Vim?
And a record company.
I mean, it might be. I think Shakespeare might have used pep and vim, or at least vim and vigour.
Now it's loaded. Energy, enthusiasm. In his youth, he was full of vim and vigour. See, it seems to always be together with vigour.
Yeah, well, pep and vim is artistic license, you might call it. What did you think about Dizier not touching the food?
Oh, I didn't actually really think anything of that.
Okay.
What did you think?
Don't know, but he put it in there. So they'd served lunch and, he'd obviously just tucked in without thinking, and then he noticed that she hadn't eaten.
Well, she seems very annoyed that she's had to even come over because apparently she thought it was going to be quite difficult.
Yeah, and he didn't need much convincing because he really wants to get out of this mess he's made. And then we get to a scene that's really grown on me as I've thought about it, down at the beach at the rock pool.
Well, I thought they were going to bang.
Disappointed?
Oh, wouldn't say disappointed. I just thought that might be where it was going.
Oh, okay. I mean, they've known each other for many, many, many years, and he's very irritating. So, yeah. Now, what I loved, and I've used it to generate the image for this cover image for this episode. By the way, we're using DALL-E now. Midjourney was just not providing details that it was told to. Midjourney makes more interesting, weird images, but it doesn't actually give you the image you want, and so DALL-E does. And we used it for the last episode as well. But it is actually important when you're talking about the culture to talk about the AI you're using. But he's standing there and he catches the fish, held his hands out for her to see. She looked in and saw a small fish, brilliant, shimmering blue and green and red and gold, a gaudy splash of rippling light squirming inside the man's cupped hands. She frowned as he leant back against the rock again. Now, just you put that back where you found it, Sharadanine, and the way you found it. And I thought here you had a wonderful little metaphor for the way the culture looks at Zakalwe.
What?
He's this bright, flamboyant little fish that doesn't even understand what's happened when it scoops him up and looks it in the hands. And at least...
But they're not putting him back to where they found him. They're really messing with him.
So far.
They've literally changed him. They've de-aged him.
Yeah, okay. Well, the story goes slightly differently there. But I thought it was nice at least that Diziet's worried about the little fish's well-being. That kind of bodes well for Zakalwe's fate, doesn't it? That if they're going to worry about little fish, maybe they'll do the right thing by him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I thought it was a neat metaphor for the broader experience. Because he's fundamentally no more sentient than the little fish in the hands.
Well, I thought it was actually more her trying to say, you've messed with this planet enough.
Stop
put
messing
it back.
With the fish.
Stop messing around with things, but just for the sake of it.
Yeah, I mean, it is one of life's great joys to poke around in a rock pool, though.
Yeah, but not to murder the little fish.
Well, he didn't murder the fish, though.
You never know what he was going to do with it. I don't think he was going to murder it.
I mean, some people do eat the fish and the crabs too, but, it is still a joy in life to see what's living in a rock pool and maybe gently prod it with a stick to see what it does. Obviously try and avoid the blue-ringed octopuses, but...
Yes.
have you never just touched your finger onto an enemy's to have them grab onto it?
Well, yeah.
Yeah. It's not that different then, really, is it?
Well, no, but she's different.
She was, literally said vaguely disgusted. Yeah. Did she say she was disgusted?
I don't think so.
Oh, but she frowned. Yeah. And then I did love him saying, I thought one man with a strong plan, not interested in his own aggrandizement. That's the bit where he says, I thought it was easier than you lot made it out. it might all work out yet. You never know. And it's like, no.
It won't. I like when after that, when he's like, am I in trouble? And she said, not any more than you usually are, just for being you. And then he says, I hate the culture's tolerance.
Mm-hmm.
It's like he can't really agitate them.
Yeah, he's just a little fish.
Or maybe he can agitate them, but they will forgive him.
I mean, messing with a whole planet like this has definitely got their attention.
Yeah.
In a way that he's never really possibly managed before. Yes. And then what do you think of the discussion of his pay?
What his lack of understanding of inflation, which
Or
I'm
her
sure...
lack of understanding of inflation.
Lack of understanding of inflation, which anyone listening would be quite envious of, I imagine.
Well, that is the thing about the culture. So he's like, pay minus the rejuve, the same as last time, plus 10% more negotiables. And she's like, exactly the same, exactly. Yeah, and then we get to the inflation line just a little bit later, I guess.
Well, she seems to be like, why do you keep trying to find this chick and engage with her? It's not going to work out well for you. Just stop.
Yep.
But he's like hopeful.
Yep.
Do you think the culture have hope?
Oh, the culture's built around hope.
Sort of implies that when, she's like, it won't be any different. And he's like, but I can hope.
Yep.
Well, I guess she knows the outcome, but she sees no value in
predict the
him
outcome
hoping.
anyway. Yeah.
She doesn't seem to understand why it's so important for him just to hope that it will turn out differently.
Well, and I've got to be very careful here. To our knowledge, she doesn't understand his relationship with Livuetta, and neither do we, the reader, at this point.
Okay. I sort of assumed that she did know, but okay.
I'm sure someone will let us know in the messages if I've got that wrong, but I don't... I mean, she appears to have met Livuetta on the previous time they went to see her, but she doesn't appear to be any wiser about what the relationship is.
Yeah.
Yep. And then it finishes with, what an arsehole you are, Zakalwe. She thought I could have stayed home. And then she's like, by the way, why 10% more money? He shrugged as they walked onto the wooden pier. Inflation. Smart frowned. What's that? And so that is the end of part 1 of this book. We're about 25% of the way through. Actually, more like a third of the way through. So that was The Good Soldier that we've just finished. And the next one is called An Outing. And it will be chapter IX that we'll start with there. Okay, Sheridan, what did you take away from this episode?
Well, that he's going to be finding Livuetta.
What, after whatever the MacGuffin with Warren Hoots gets sorted out? Yes, probably. They're going to go looking for her anyway.
Well, the culture knows where she is.
Well, they know where she is right now, but whether they know where she is.
Sounds like they're pretty confident they're going to be able to find her.
Sure. Okay. So you feel you're going to get some resolution of the Livuetta situation?
Oh, I better.
Okay. All right. That's fair enough then. And anything else you want to talk about from this chapter, or shall we leave this one be for now?
Am I meant to name my favourite character?
Do you have a favourite character in this chapter?
It's the fish.
The fish is your favourite character because it's a lovely little bit of writing the description of the fish. You could just feel it flashing around in his hands.
Or maybe it's the ex-girlfriend who silently lets him leave.
She's not really in this chapter though.
But doesn't Smar say when he went inside to say his goodbyes, waited for the sound of breakages or screaming?
Oh, right. Yeah, well, she's over it by then.
She's over it.
I mean, you'd hope he's left her with more money than she could have ever dreamed of, given that money's not really important to any of them. Although as the ex-girlfriend of the guy who's unleashed havoc on this planet, she might take some heat. But people probably won't know what that's all about. All right, then. Well, folks, we will endeavour to be back in your ears shortly. And I think we've got some meatier chapters coming up. So, cool. Okay, well, we'll be back soon.
Thanks, folks.